Hi everyone, welcome.
Merhabalar.
Hi. Hello.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight. So we have two great guests in our webinar tonight and morning for them. As you know, Upschool has partnered with Solana Foundation, and with the support of Solana Foundation, just a month ago, we started our first ever Web3 program, Blockchain Developer Program, and we have our students here with us as well. Actually, it all began with Chase. Chase was the first person we met with in Solana Foundation, and throughout the process, he has been super helpful while we were designing this training program. So we are honored to have him here. Actually, we got his promise from the first day onwards that Chase, we definitely would like to introduce to our audience, and he said yes. And even if he's on holiday right now, right? You're on vacation, I think. It is a day off for Chase, but still he had time for us. And we are very happy to meet Dana as well. We have Dana here with us today. So Dana is responsible of university relations in Solana Foundation. And she has a great background in Web3, mostly from the art aspect, as far as I know, and we would love to hear more about that too. Thank you so much for being with us, Dana, today, this morning. And what we will do is we will have a quick introduction of our program. And then we have some questions, Eren and myself have some questions for Chase and Dana. And then we will open for you guys if you have any questions. We will have a Q&A at the end. I actually want to add one more thing, that Chase is actually working as a head of developer ecosystem right now in Solana Foundation. So we know that you have already listened to his speeches and podcasts before. And we will also have questions for him in a couple of minutes. So I am Melike, I'm co-founder of Upschool, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. And my co-host is actually Eren. He is the lead of Blockchain Developer Program in Upschool. And I will give it to Eren now for introducing our program.
Yeah, thank you, Melike. We are really excited about tonight. We have a great question, and we would like to learn more about Solana Foundation and Solana ecosystem tonight. Actually, I would like to summarize what we have done so far in our program. I would like to mention we are the fourth week of our program. At least 10 hours, actually, we have been together with all students, actually. We started with philosophy of blockchain, Bitcoin, Web3. After that, we talk about decentralization. And last week, actually, they created a project, decentralized project, actually. After that, they choose what type of blockchain they would like to use. Right now, it's the critical of our program. They talked about Rust. They learned a lot. Right now, they've been using Anchor. We are actually excited about this weekend. I would like to summarize what we have done so far. Melike, maybe we can continue.
Great. So let me just pin our guests so that you can see them better. And yeah, I want to actually start with Dana. Dana, it would be great if you can tell us a little bit about your own story. We are mainly very curious about how it all started for you, how it all began in terms of your interest in Web3 and your introduction to Solana and your great work in Solana. We would love to hear from you.
Sure. I guess my interest in Web3 or all of crypto it goes a little bit back pre-Solana. I started to discover a little bit of DeFi and was really interested in it. And I realized that there weren't a lot of women involved. And I started by trying to onboard women into DeFi a little bit. But as soon as I had enough friends, so really quickly, I was like, I don't want to be responsible for other people's journey or in this capacity, at least from the DeFi perspective. But I did realize that it was kind of a lonely space for women, and I wanted to sort of try to change that. From there, though, I, as an artist, did discover NFTs about a year and a bit ago. And I started with Ethereum, and I did some NFT work there, and then quickly discovered Solana sort of through both the DeFi NFT communities. But once I found that the community in Solana was just so much different and so exciting. So that's kind of how I found Solana, but how I found it in a more, in a different way, I guess, is like as an artist and as a researcher. I'm doing my PhD at the University of Southern California, and I'm in a program that is called New Media and Practice. So it asks kind of the question, what is new media? And that's left really kind of open. So it is in the cinema department. So there's a lot of people looking at AR and VR, but it's really expensive. They take 3 people per year, and that question is really left up to you. So blockchain was, of course, one of my new medias. And as an artist, I think that there's really like, I see it as a medium, and a medium for creativity, for building, for all kinds of really exciting things. So I don't see much difference between art, science, and technology kind of at the apex of these things. I feel like they all kind of blend together. So in that program, blockchain is one of my main fields. And a friend of mine was running a hackathon at MIT and asked if I would come and work with it. And I was like, unless there's blockchain, I don't want to go. I'm not interested. And so we kind of built out so the first blockchain track at Reality Hack for MIT, and Solana was one of the sponsors for it. I wasn't working with them at the time, but I did attend to help my friend who knew nothing about Web3 or blockchain. And I gave sort of a talk around some of these concepts and got people excited. And I had a developer with me, and we ended up having second place overall in the hackathon built on Solana. I think 5 projects and 2 of like lots of prizes and so much interest and enthusiasm, people getting really excited about how this could fit into gaming and fit into all different kinds of aspects. So we realized then it was a nice fit, these universities and blockchains. And that's where I met Donnie, who's on the DevRel team, as a presence robot, actually, at that event. He wasn't able to make it in person. So I met him on stage as one of these like monitor heads. And then from there, Donnie introduced me to Chase, and we just got to talking a lot about what Web3 education could look like, what it should be in universities, and just sort of thinking about all of these much bigger contract, like what is decentralized education. And from there, we just have a university relations department that I'm now really focused on. That was long.
That's amazing. No, that's amazing. I have so many questions to you about decentralized education, but I don't want this to be about my interests. So, and what you said about art, science, and technology blending is amazing. I think it's very inspirational for all our audience. And of course, it's great to see a female role model in this area. Thank you so much for being with us. And to you, Eren, for your question.
Yeah, Chase, you are a software engineer. How and when have you transitioned from Web 2 to Web 3 actually?
Yeah, so I got into space around 2017. I was in it. So at this point, I was a full-time software engineer for like 12 years. Sometime around 2017, when the crypto hype got up, I actually just joined as a normal investor and like was there for the bull market of 2017 and 2018. But along that line, I started to just like get a general interest in what was happening. I found a project actually called Ken, which was one of the biggest sort of like raises of ICOs of 2017. In 2018, I sort of like, Web3 was interesting because it's very community based. So I found that community on Reddit and Twitter and started sort of being a little bit more active. And they ended up having this sort of hackathon event. And I built a tip bot where you could use their SDK to tip their cryptocurrency on Twitter, Reddit, Discord, and Telegram. And at that point in time, like I was not super happy in my Web2 world. I was kind of going through the motions, and this space looked really exciting, and there was a ton of things happening, and like a ton of things that hadn't happened. You're like, wow, this is this sort of greenfield space where nothing really of value has been built yet. So I started contacting the Kin Foundation and reaching out to all these different leaders. I've got their emails. I literally just started emailing them and asking for a job, and they said all of our engineering roles are in in Tel Aviv, but we have this developer advocate role. And I was really just like, what is that? I have no idea what that is. But anyways, I was interested, so I took the job and started building out education, and kind of just started learning how to build communities and sort of bringing people in and helping them get to that next like level. Like, how do I get involved in this? And then how do I become successful in this? And it kind of flash forward a couple years, I found out about Solana, and Ken migrated to Solana. And then I started DMing Raj, the co-founder of Solana, asking him for a job. And then eventually, within a couple of weeks, he looked at my resume and saw I had worked with them, like their internal tech team, and he hired me as the first developer advocate at Solana Labs at the time. We since transitioned to Foundation, but then I was there, and then I found Jacob and Donnie, who brought on Dana. And so like, it's just sort of all of us in Web3, there's something to be said about technical skills, but there's also like more about passion and like enthusiasm behind it, because you need that. And this entire DevRel team, Dana included, including the people that Dana's been bringing on, it's like you find these people and like they're not necessarily here just as opportunists. They're here because this is something cool and they want to be part of something and they're passionate about it. And now that entire dev relations team, Dana's like sort of not dev relations, but like very tightly coupled with them. They're also just like out here running themselves and really just like doing amazing stuff. And Dana's been here for roughly 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit less, and has since made like relationships with so many universities across the world and brought on students and helped them sort of get just plugged in and running accelerators on different campuses. I won't get too much into that, but Dana's absolutely crushing it. And like this is the reason why it's super important to have her on this call, because these are like what's happening right now is incredible. And there's a lot of cool opportunities in Web3.
I think, Chase, just to like spin off what you're saying, and thank you, that's very kind. But this idea that this is this unique moment, and I just say this to you guys as students, where the opportunities are abundant, but they're not necessarily tied to a resume just yet, because that resume doesn't really exist. What exists is your ability to be curious, active, participating, contributing, and you will get noticed. And that's an amazing and rare moment. Like, that doesn't last forever. So if you are interested in this, I encourage you to really be a participant in the space, and don't be shy. Like, use your voice and share your interests. And I think that it's the best way to get recognized.
Actually, this is also best advice for me as well, because I resigned my corporate job 6 months ago, because my heart says you should follow to Web3 because you are really excited about. I'm really happy what you heard from two of you. Actually, I have a question to both of you. Why Solana, and what are the benefits of being part of Solana development or Solana Foundation team?
I mean, I can start with just kind of what I was saying right there. Is one of the major benefits is that it is this organic kind of system right now where you can be recognized, and that's a really, really cool thing. But also, I mean, from the tech perspective, of course, it's like, the speed of light and all of this wonderful. But I think I'll let Chase speak more to the tech side and why, and that's like where we're battle tested, and there's lots of reasons. But I think for me, from a community perspective, this is really a space where I feel like it's still small enough that people kind of know each other, care for each other. And I've never seen anything like this in any other place, where there is so much like love, passion, support, and just such good vibes. So I think that's one of the main reasons, like, why Solana for me is that community, watching students come together to form teams, build projects, and share that kind of enthusiasm. It doesn't exist anywhere else. So that's what, like, for me, why Solana is definitely the community aspect.
Yeah, and I mean, Dana nailed it. And like, we can talk about the tech, like it is the best tech out there. Like it has had like some issues in the past, but this is what happens when you're building something that nobody's ever built in the history of humankind, like this scalable blockchain that runs this fast, like on a decentralized network, just has never been done. So obviously code has flaws, but like it's been a lot of work has been done to fix a lot of that. And I don't think speaking to the tech on why Solana is really the answer, because that's not why I'm here either. That's why I noticed it. But when I started, like as the first DevRel, there were hardly any projects. The community was small. And like the thing to note is like Solana Foundation, where it is today, all these projects, all these people, that was not, Solana Foundation didn't do that. That was actually very organic, and people, one person inspired the next. Like you guys are learning Anchor. Well, Armani, who built Anchor, actually was a very big sort of influence for a lot of people, because when you come to a blockchain, everybody has their tech, everybody has the things that they think is important. But like, if you look at what else is there, like the people, like the inspirations and the ones that are there to just, Armani has a lot going on in his world, but he'll answer your DM and answer your questions and support you. Like that's the sort of like community that was built around Solana. And like, I'll be honest, like I've spent time in other spaces and other sort of ecosystems, and it's not really the same. And like, that's pretty much why Solana, and probably why I would never go anywhere else, honestly.
That's amazing. We believe that we have the same value in terms of putting the community at the center of everything with Solana and Upschool. I think this is why it is such a great partnership from our side as well. Solana has a great community-centered approach, and putting community at the center of everything and thinking about the developers and their experience. So we feel this from the first day onwards. So it is a good partnership for us. So we know that you guys have been working on great initiatives, and they are coming really fast. For example, we talked with you, we spoke with you, Chase, and then you said we will have good news about Istanbul soon. And then just 1 week later, we hear about the Hacker House. So what is new in the foundation and in university relations? What is cooking? What is new coming up? Can you give us a little, maybe slight news about what's coming up? Maybe Dana, we can start from the university relations and then we can continue with the foundation.
Sure. So I guess, well, speaking a bit about decentralized education, one of the things that was so important was that we didn't end up focusing on just a handful of Ivy League schools and people already in privileged positions. So you're going to see like that we have universities all over the world. So extra excited for you guys in Istanbul and with the Hacker House, so cool. We're going to be launching our ambassador program finally. Probably this week, the application will finally come out, and we're going to take our first round of official ambassadors. So this will be students where we want them from everywhere around the world, and they'll be a point of contact between us and what's going on in their university and their community. And so we can stay in touch around things that we might be able to help out with, and vice versa, giving us information from there. But also those ambassadors are going to have international networking opportunities. So the idea being that rather than receive like a small stipend, that you would be able to travel to different hacker houses with different students and meet. Because we just did 160 students just came with us to Breakpoint to as fellows. And what I realized, what we all realized, I think, is that there's not a lot of opportunity for young people who share this interest specifically in Solana to necessarily meet each other. And we need to create more opportunities for that. So the ambassador program coming out with these kinds of international networking opportunities attached to it. There's also accelerators that will be launching a whole new batch of in January, which is really, really exciting. So this is kind of like you gather 5, 10 interested students. We can help you make that team if you don't have that team, but you work on a specific project over the course of several weeks, and we help you with milestones and the development through that so that you can learn on a much more concentrated level to build something really cool, hopefully something that's like an open source piece of the composable ecosystem that we all need. And then that means you actually helped build part of Solana, which is really cool. So those like the ambassadors, the accelerators, I'm hoping to start looking at universities that might be interested in running validators, which would be really exciting. And then to the other point about meeting each other in person, working on an initiative called Touching Grass that's like in real life fireside chats and like rustic coding camps, but really these more intimate opportunities for the brilliant people who are participating and who are contributing to have unique opportunities to meet each other and help these students form the teams that are going to build the projects that we're really excited about. So that's kind of what I think's on the horizon there.
Yeah. And also Dana, one of the fellow is here, Göksu. Yeah, Göksu. She's the part of our program.
She's awesome.
Hello, Dana.
Superstar in the making.
When we met with Göksu, she was about to leave for Lisbon, actually. So we got all the news from her. That's amazing. Great. Thank you so much for sharing all these great initiatives with us, Dana. And I want to also ask to Chase, do you have any news for us, Chase?
I think the news is kind of already out with the hacker houses, like some things that like last year we did 24 hacker houses across the world, like one every 2 weeks. It was a lot. Like this year, especially leading up to something like Istanbul, is that DevRel University Relations, our new markets team, along with partners like yourself, and then localized sort of localized like ecosystem teams. There's a few teams actually that are based out of Turkey. Are really been working harder together to make these hacker houses way more impactful. Like obviously you guys are doing boot camps, these lead into these hacker houses. And then like really the most important thing in here is like regions like Turkey, where there's all this interest. These are like this is like the big opportunity for everybody that does the work and sticks around to show up and show off and get access to an inspiration and get to show off your own projects that you built in front of everybody. I think that's really, it's not about new stuff, it's about old stuff, but just way better. And like, we're really focused on like way more quality this year. And I think that's really the most exciting thing.
Yes, actually, we are really excited about the Hacker House in Istanbul. Actually, I wanted to ask why Istanbul, and you already answered it. What is the importance for Solana? Because we are right now a community in Turkey. What do you think about Turkey, and what expects us actually?
Well, I think the number one thing for me is that like I spend a lot of my time just talking to developers, and we started to really truly see that like that developer community in Turkey has been like really great and massive. I don't know if you've shared, I'm going to share it right now, if you guys have shared this, but the creator of this SolPG Solana Playground to deploy smart contracts on the web without having to install Solana natively, this is actually a Turkish developer that we've been working with for a while to build this out. And like that was like the one moment we were like, holy crap, this is a really super massive tool for developers and like the developer experience to build on Solana. So that was like the initial time. This was maybe 6 months ago. And then since then, like we've met teams that are in Turkey and like just seeing that general interest. And like also again, like, you know, we also work with Patika as well. And then we started working with you guys roughly at the same time. And I think it's really that mutual benefit or the mutual passion for bringing opportunity to these places. I think that's really the big thing here. Like whenever I spoke with you, when I spoke with Patika, we're not here to like necessarily get anything out of anybody. Like we're actually trying to like help bring opportunity to Turkey, and obviously Turkey is well known for amazing developers and amongst other things, like including gaming, and there's just like a lot of really cool stuff, and it just made a lot of sense. So like I joke around in the organization that like Turkey's going to be the biggest hacker house of the year, so I need your guys' help.
And how do you select?
Got a bet going. Don't let him fool you.
And lots of people are actually watching on YouTube as well. How do you select participants for the Hacker House? Maybe it might be helpful for everybody.
The selection process is like before it was kind of just like whoever signed up first. But I think most likely this year, the real thing is like, we'll probably be more biased on developers and more biased on regionally based people. So if you're building on Solana and you live in Turkey, you have a really strong chance to get into the hacker houses. Obviously, like, we don't necessarily need this to be all developers, because like you want to have some space for marketers and founders and product people and like let them sort of intermingle. So there's a lot more than just like, this is not a hackathon. This is a place to go and network and meet people and get inspired and go to workshops and listen to people speak about their journeys into Web3 and Solana. So it's not just this place where everybody sits on the computer and writes code. This is way bigger than that. So if I do highly recommend everybody that's on this call, go ahead and get signed up ASAP. Like this one will get filled up. There's no doubt about it. So the earlier, the better for everybody. And if anybody here has trouble, like, and they don't like get accepted or whatever, like you guys can obviously reach out to me and Dana, and we can make sure that like, because we want to make sure that everybody here is able to get to experience that.
That's amazing. Well, we have our bootcamp participants right here in the call with us, and they're working really hard for the past months and yesterday and over the weekend, and they will get ready with their projects by the time you guys are in Istanbul, hopefully. And also what you said, Chase, about other programs as well. We feel very lucky in the region that Solana Foundation is supporting not only Upschool, actually several bootcamps, because the opportunity is so big that we don't feel the need to compete actually here. We just need to do as much as we can, all of us. So it's a great news for us. And yeah, we are looking forward to the Hacker House. The other thing we would like to ask you and get your perspective on is what is core to Upschool, which is women empowerment. Because, you know, we don't have the exact numbers in Web3, but we know that overall in technology, it's only 30% of technology roles globally are filled by women. So this is where Upschool comes in. Our actually purpose is to create an equal opportunity for everyone. And this is why our bootcamps are open only for women, which sometimes we get a lot of comments for, but we just want to increase the chances for women empowerment actually. So what do you think about women empowerment in Web3? How can we increase the chances for women to be successful in this ecosystem? Maybe we can start first with you, Dana.
Sure, yeah, it's something close to my heart for sure as well. I'm happy to say that just before Lisbon, we did our first hackathon with Women Hack. So I'm sure you guys are aware of initiatives like Women Build Web3, Her DAO. These are DAOs that are really dedicated to making sure that there are more equal opportunities and equal representations at different events. So working with them is awesome. And their first event, their first female hackathon was really, really excellent. One of the things I want to say that was remarkable about it is the type of projects that came out of it. There was a project called Scene, which actually built on Solana. It was something that I don't think you would see in a traditional hackathon necessarily. It was a project looking at the reporting of domestic violence. And I think that because it was, a group of women, a space where something like this was able to be spoken about in a different way, it was really interesting to see the types of projects coming out of a female hacker house like that, which was really cool. I think that, I don't know if you saw the list, but Solana is actually doing its first all-female hacker house in April, I believe, don't quote me on that, in Austin, which is really, really exciting. And I think that I think it's an important thing to recognize and try to fix. I don't know that we have the solutions to fix this, but we can certainly try. One of the things that I'm not sure if this is super public, so you might be getting some alpha, but speaking with Ellie, who runs all of the events, we're looking at thinking about doing a lunch with some of the women that will be participants in Istanbul before the hacker house, so that you're not coming in cold to this environment where you are maybe a smaller minority and feeling overwhelmed, but you at least now have some friends that you've met the day before and you're not. So we're thinking about things like that to just make the experience more welcoming. So those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about. But I mean, that's something, DM me if you have any ideas or thoughts about any of that. I love thinking about it. So
that's amazing. I love the idea of having a pre-event before the event, so that women can feel more represented and more welcomed. Thais, what about you? What do you think about how can we encourage women more in this area?
Yeah, this is something we talk about internally a lot, and honest, if we're being honest, like we have Dana, we have Courtney Jensen, who's also sort of like pretty heavily focused, and like Dana and the internal, the women in the organization actually spend a lot of time thinking about how to do some of this. And like, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think the answer, Dana probably has a better answer than I do about like how to go about this, because I can't act to pretend like I know how to facilitate it any better. But like the truth is that we do need more diversity in the space. And like, I think the only way you get there is to just continuously source feedback from people who come to these events or come to this space, because nobody, like our team specifically, like in Solana Foundation, is like, we encourage, please, more women and more everybody in the space. Like, this is what our goals are. And how to get there, like I said, I don't think anybody officially has the answer, but it's like what Dana's talking about having one of these sort of calls ahead of time, just to make sure everybody feels comfortable in these places, I think is a good start.
That's great.
Open to suggestions. So yeah, definitely keep that conversation open. And, you know, like I said, I don't think there is a solution, but we definitely need to we don't know the solution, but we're going to definitely try. So
that's great. I think we believe in Upschool is the most important thing is role models. So the more role models we see, the more Dana is visible and Alex, the role models in this area are visible, the better our chances will be to have a diverse environment, because that's you are yourself the encouragement what we need, because seeing women successful in the area is already an encouragement for all of us. So thank you so much for giving us this chance. And now maybe we can open for questions from the audience. I know our team will have some questions. Karar, if you are here, I know you have a question. Would you like to ask your question yourself? Karar, can you hear us? I think we have a
hi everyone. Thank you for being us tonight. I just want to ask, what does Solana offer opportunities for developers, and how can we take advantage of them as bootcamp students?
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunities in the space. I'm just going to share like the main one that comes from the Solana account, and that's all ecosystem jobs. And then there's another one. There's and so one thing that a group called Super Team, which is sort of like this decentralized organization, what they're putting together is they're actually trying to create supply and demand side for developers, so that they're bringing in all the opportunities and giving like regionally based people access to them. So not only like are there opportunities for jobs or grants or things like that, there's actually opportunities to complete bounties for projects. So like small bounties to sort of just like get your first experience or your first try at doing something in Web3. I think really, again, Dana sort of alluded to this earlier, and it's like resume is not really the most important thing. It's like there's so many open source projects. The things that the way that people get hired in Web3 outside of you can still get hired in the traditional means, but if you end up becoming very passionate about like NFTs or DeFi or payments, simply going into some of these like communities or some of their open source codes and maybe submitting a PR or just like doing so, or engaging in that conversation, that increases your chances very highly of becoming successful in Web3. Like it's, again, both options are there the traditional way, but like these opportunities are all over the place. The two places I just shared with you are really good starting points to see what's out there. And most likely, and this is not solidified yet, like we have kind of worked with Major League Hacking in the past, where people apply to Major League Hacking and then we help get them placed as like an 8-week intern on different protocols or different projects on Solana. Was very successful. And this is something we can probably look to do in the future. And so the opportunities are there. I think that there's a better opportunity or a bigger opportunity to like sort of make those more available and transparent. But the 2 places I shared just now will be like a good starting point. And I think once the Hacker House gets here and everybody sort of starts networking and you start to see who's local and who's regional, that there's probably going to be a lot more opportunities that come up.
Dana, did you have anything to add?
No, I think that that's exactly it. I do know that we have internships, but they're not like for that they come about annually. And I think that is a more traditional, it is a resume based application. So we'll be sure to let you guys know when those come up.
Great. And I also would like to add, if anyone is not yet following Chase and Dana on Twitter, you guys are sharing a lot of great examples on Twitter as well. So that will be a great source as well to find out what's happening all around the world, who is doing great, cool projects. So it's a great place to find out about those too. Thank you, Kadar, for your question. And I think Nargis has another question. Nargis, would you like to ask your question?
Yes. Hi again, and thank you for being asked today. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit excited. And I want to ask, what are the growth targets of the Solana ecosystem, and what awaits us as a potential Solana developer?
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear the end part. What are the, could you say that one
What
more
are
time?
the growth targets of Solana ecosystem?
So I think there's a lot of, you mean like overall in general, what are the growth targets for the Solana ecosystem?
Yeah, general actually.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to ask some specific things for you.
Yeah, so generally the growth targets for Solana ecosystem, one thing that people don't understand is that Solana Foundation's entire job is to become less important over time. We're not supposed to like dictate who or what happens. All we do is we find groups like Upschool and all these places all over the world and empower them to be able to grow. And also like Solana Foundation, this is another thing I forgot to mention with opportunities, is we offer grants for people to build public goods like open source code or documentation or contributions to the things that make everybody's lives better and easier. And this goes from education to developer tooling. Grants available at solana.foundation/grants for everybody. So the real targets like have always been more developers, and then being able to upskill those developers. And then beyond that, it's like, we want to start seeing more projects launch, because as projects begin to launch, then you start to see new developers, like you create opportunities for developers that won't found projects. But like this global sort of decentralized expansion is the target. Like you'll see some groups, like I mentioned earlier, Super Team, which we have Super Team India. We just launched Super Team Vietnam. And when I say we, these are fully autonomous organizations that are just given a playbook and shown how to execute and grow that region themselves. So Super Team Vietnam, Germany, Turkey actually just went public. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for everybody on this call to start working with Super Team Turkey in the future. And their job will be to help sort of grow that region like long term. And that's probably going to be one of the biggest growth expectations of the year.
And I don't know if this falls into growth necessarily, but also just like something that's really cool, or why Solana, but just like also thinking about SMS, the Solana mobile stack. And this is like a whole area where I don't think anybody else is doing anything like this. And just that we're having the opportunity to do mobile development on Web3. So that's another area that I think is a big target anyways, or a really exciting kind of niche.
Yeah, and we know that there's a ton of mobile developers in Turkey as well. So it works perfectly. Mobile gaming developers, at least, I know that.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Nargis, for that question. And I believe If you are not already following Super Team Turkey, you should follow as well. And it's great what you're doing. And I really like the way you put it, making Solana Foundation less important actually, but empowering the free groups all over the world, free communities. That's great. I'm more curious about the Hacker House actually, so I'm gonna ask, how do you think, so we will apply as soon as possible. That's one thing we take out from this webinar. But once we are accepted, how do you think a participant can best benefit from a Hacker House? What should they do to make the most of a Hacker House? What would be your advice?
I think just be immersed and fully present. There's a lot of really cool programming going on. There's great talks. There's all of this kind of stuff to see. But then it's also like, talk to the person sitting beside you. Don't be shy. There's some brilliant like humans that are very kind running around those things, really willing to help. They want to hear your stories, possible your team of the future, whatever, but just don't be shy is my, and that's like not always easy for even me, but I think it's really important to just, everybody is learning together. There's so much like fear that we, you know, imposter syndrome and this and that, but just realize we're all early. It's all new. There's no dumb questions. And like, that's a really nice, safe space to just open up and be yourselves.
That's exactly the answer I would give. Like, this is the opportunity here is to meet other people in the space and get inspired and learn from other people. So like, don't sort of waste that opportunity by sort of staying to yourself. I know, like, again, not everybody's just going to openly just go talk. I think the hacker, as far as I know, they've been experimenting with an idea of what they were calling speed dating, where like it actually matches people up. So they're sort of forced to talk to each other and like have a conversation, which I think will help a lot of people who don't necessarily like just generally walk up to somebody they don't know and ask what they're up to. So I think just taking advantage of that opportunity and talking to as many people as possible, as much diversity as possible, people that are doing things totally different from you. I think that's really the important thing.
That's great. So I believe you are both coming to Istanbul for the Hacker House, right? Okay, perfect. So one last question. What are your expectations about Istanbul then? So what do you want? Do you have already a list of things you want to do? Have you guys been to Istanbul before? So okay, it will be the first time.
Excellent food.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can deliver on that. So one thing that we are confident. So what else? What else you'd like to see? Do you have any plans to stay more in the city?
Probably I'll stick around. I love traveling, so I'm just excited. Like, I've heard amazing things about Turkey, and Istanbul in general. So I don't have any expectations other than I'm sure I'm going to have a good time.
Great, perfect. We are truly looking forward to meet you in person here in Istanbul. And I also want to underline one more thing, Chase, you said about the grants from the Solana Foundation. I know that Solana Foundation has already been granted to many very cool projects. So you guys in the audience, please go check the website and see which projects have been granted from previous rounds, and it's already in itself a great portfolio, a very inspiring portfolio of cool projects. So and maybe our bootcamp students will be the applicants of Solana grant in the very near future. So this has been a great hour actually, with very inspirational questions and answers. Before we close up, do you have any final words to add for our audience, Dana and Chase?
For me, I'm just really excited to see you all in Turkey, and congratulations on taking like a really brave, bold step. You are building on like the bleeding edge of a disruptive technology, which it takes some guts to do. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and for me, it's really just keep pushing, like learning blockchain and all these new paradigms, and these things can be challenging, but at the end of the day, everybody who's building in Web3 right now has at some point in the early stages struggled and probably had the thought where like, I'm going to quit, or I can't do this, or any of those things. But that's usually the moment where you should probably not quit. That's the moment where you just keep going. And just again, just put yourself out there and talk to people. And who knows, what might come out of this hacker house might be that you form a team, that you join a team. If you like, we have a little ways to go. We're talking about 2 months away from now. So in that next 2 months, if everybody's doing really awesome stuff, who knows, maybe somebody likes the project that you created and they're like, hey, let's talk about working together on building this even further. So that's the real big opportunity here. Like that's the networking and all that stuff is amazing, and that's sort of like very important, but there also is other sort of opportunities. And then this is potentially going full-time in Web3, and that could come to each and every one of you.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Chase, for our support throughout our process, but also your support today, and Dana for being the role model in this area, in this ecosystem, and giving us all of us inspiration in terms of women empowerment. And see you in Istanbul, I guess. Thank you so much, both.
Thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
guys.
Maybe before closing, we can take a picture even online.
Sure.
Okay.
I think Gizem.
I'm
Like
taking
to
it.
turn your cameras on if you can, if you don't mind.
It's okay.
Great. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us, and see you in the Hacker House.
Bye.
Bye-bye.